Hey, you got Fox here. Today I'm joined by JGarcia. We're going to talk about Diamond Dynasty, MLB The Show, and a lot of the stats today. We're going to go over what each one of them does. He is my expert. How's it going, Jay?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited for the season.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I haven't played in a couple years, so I'm excited to get back into it. All right, let's go through hitters first. And in case people, this is kind of like a beginner's thing. If you're an expert in Diamond Dynasty and you know what all these stats do, and maybe there's some things that'll surprise you. Who knows? Let's play it by ear. Here we go. Contact versus right-handed and contact versus left-handed. What do those things mean?
So people tend to, beginners, I should say, tend to look at contact as a whole, and sometimes they'll say 70, but really that hides the stats. Maybe it's 50 versus lefty and 99 versus righty, because that's definitely a case. So basically, when a right-handed pitcher is throwing and a player that has 76 contact versus righty, let's just say, is hitting, that means he's pretty good against righties, and he'll make contact a good amount of the time. If you go down below, I'd say 60. If you're getting below 60, that's where either you're a really good power hitter or you're just a terrible hitter in general. So contact is a rather large, important statistic or attribute.
Yeah. So it basically does it help expand your batter eye?
No, I'll get into that later.
Okay. All right. So contact is just how solidly you hit the ball.
Right.
Okay. Great. All right. Now let's talk about power versus right and power versus left-handed pitchers.
Essentially, I mean, it's pretty much same as contact, except in terms of power. So ball obviously goes further with players that have higher power. So someone that hits maybe, well, I'll give an example. D. Gordon hit 2 home runs, I think, last year, and he had 25 power. That's a point of reference. And Chris Bryant had a hell of a year last year, and he had somewhere around 93, 94 power because he hits a lot of home runs. So
Okay.
that is pretty much a power does.
So it's really like the exit velocity of the ball off the bat.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Great. All right, moving on. What does plate vision do for a batter?
Vision, for those who use zone hitting, it makes your zone wider. So this is what you were talking about with contact. Contact kind of makes it bigger, but someone with large plate vision has a larger PCI. Now, a PCI is the other word for zone, and the zone gets bigger on someone that has higher plate vision. So, say someone has like 80 contact righty or 80 contact in general against both lefties and righties, and they have 28 vision, let's just say. That means they're going to have a small PCI, but when you do hit the ball in that zone, it will
go far.
It will be. So someone that has really high vision is much easier to hit with if you're using zone hitting, which I would recommend. We can go into that in another video.
Yeah, we could do that. We could talk about which batting ways and pitching ways in another video. So the plate vision. So in other batting modes, it doesn't really matter.
If the two that people usually use is directional and zone. Directional is the default, and essentially I have not used directional hitting in a while, but you basically point your left analog stick at which side of plate that the ball is going to, and then you make good contact. But vision has no effect on that.
Okay. All right. Wow. Interesting. That's good to know. All right. Next up, what does discipline do for a batter?
So discipline, essentially, it's kind of annoying actually when you're playing online, because lots of times when you think someone actually swings, actually swings, instead they hold up for a check swing, and it's really annoying because this is mostly because players have high discipline, and when the players have high discipline, that means that when they check swing, it's more likely that it will not be seen as a swing by the umpire.
Oh wow! So like it helps them with strong wrist, holding the bat back, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now, clutch. What does clutch do for hitters?
Clutch. I'm not seeing clutch as a very important statistic. It really, I have not seen anywhere around it's an important statistic, and I take someone has 0 clutch. I mean, maybe that's an issue, but someone has 30 clutch versus 90 clutch, not really a big difference.
Oh, interesting.
So as far as I'm concerned, when I'm choosing between two players, that's not a statistic that I value.
Wow, nice. Thanks for the tip there, because that's because usually when you think clutch, like you need that last ninth inning hit or something, a clutch guy, will they get like a stat boost basically?
I think it's a minimal boost, but it's definitely you're not going from 50 power to 90 power if you bomb 9 2 outs and the winning run on third base. Like that's not what it is, but it is minimal.
Okay. Wow, that's a good tip there. All right, bunt.
So this bunting and drag bunting is something that they have changed. The show 17 as opposed to show 16 because a big issue in last year's show game is someone like Prince Fielder or like Ryan Howard could just lay down a perfect bunt against a shift, and it was so annoying because lots of really competitive players online and Battle Royale, for example, would.
So
It didn't matter, but this year I think it will matter more.
Okay, so they basically take the bats out of some of the best players' hands. That seems weird.
Oh, it's so stupid because the throwing animations in last year's game are really bad. And once again, you could lay down a perfect bunt with someone that can't lay down bunts really in real life and has terrible bunting attributes. So yeah, I think they have fixed that, and I think this attribute will play more of a role in this year's game.
Yeah, I heard there was like a new threshold or something. Was it? I think it was like 59 or 60.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain on specifics because I'm not too much of a bunter myself, but yeah.
Nice. You love sock and dingers, right?
That's right.
Okay, so bunt and drag bunt, they kind of do what you just said. All right, next up, durability. Does that matter for Diamond Dynasty?
No, it does not.
Okay. All right, thanks. Let's get into the fielding stats now. Now, what does the general fielding stat mean?
So, in general, it's the chance of making an error. Now, there are percentage penalties that come from playing a position player in different positions. For example, if a position player plays right field, right, and they have secondary positions of first base, center field, and left field. If you play them in center field or left field or first base, they get a 5% deduction on all of their fielding attributes. So it's not just, but also arm strength and reaction time and arm accuracy. So that's what that attribute plays. And for point of reference, I think for first base, it's not too much of an issue, but for someone that gets the ball often, like shortstop, center field, you want to have someone with at least, I'd say, I mean, ideally, and even for beginners, maybe like 70. 70 is not great by any means, but it's still it's not low.
Okay.
A low number would be anything below, I'd say 55. I'd say 55 is pretty poor, but yeah.
So definitely something for people to shoot for, to find for their fielders to get to that level. All right, now arm strength and arm accuracy seem to be tied together. Any other tips about those two?
So they are. I tend to personally hit the cutoff more than usual, but someone with a high arm strength, like what's an example? Like Andre Dawson, I'm sure he's in this game. They're gonna be able to get the ball home on like a sac fly easily, and maybe even get the player out at home. Someone like Jacoby Ellsbury, who has 55 throw power or arm strength, I meant. We had a little Madden mixed up in there. Someone with like 55 arm strength is really gonna bounce the ball to the. You have to use a cutoff in order to have a chance at gunning someone out.
Okay.
So I'd say arm strength, you want to have it for the outfield. I'd say you need to have at least like 60. I mean, if you're below that, they must be a really good at the plate or something like that, because that's not a very competitive like player to use if they have less than 60 arm strength. But shoot for, I mean, a good outfielder, because arm strength really only matters with like corner short and third in the outfield. These players should have around, I mean, if you want like a really good defensive player, 70, 75, 80. So that's good.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. So then what does reaction do for fielding?
This is actually a big thing for third base and first base more than anything else. They essentially have a ball with really high exit velocity, 100 plus, comes down the line and you're playing corners in, or actually even when they're playing back. It depends. It will determine if they will get the ball or not, or sometimes it just goes right past their reach because they weren't quick enough. So reaction, it's not exactly a huge attribute, but you don't really want someone at the corner with less than like 60 in an ideal world.
We'll
But
just be
if you have to
gotcha.
sacrifice it, then you gotta do what you gotta do. It's definitely not one of the more important attributes, but
Yeah, because you think of how many times you play infield in and then a shot down the line happen. It's not a ton.
you'd be surprised, man. You got to bring in the infielder. You got to bring in the corner sometimes when you're playing against someone that bunts nonstop.
Oh,
And
that's a good point.
Game off, then will attest to that.
That's actually a good point with you know what you said with the bunt cheese from last year. But what about like does that help the outfielders a lot or not?
When it's really hard to explain without a video, but there is some really weird animations in this game, and reactions will play a role in a fly ball that you run to, and then by the time you're camped out underneath, sometimes players will like lose to explain without the video, but that does play a reaction. Reaction does play a role in fielding for outfielders as well, but once again, not something that's huge.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to base running. I think speed's pretty self-evident. It's how fast the player moves. What does aggression and stealing do?
So stealing, it's actually it gives you a better chance. Well, actually, it shows how well a player can get a jump off the pitcher. So essentially, I mean, base running is all game of numbers. It takes like what 3 seconds catcher pop times. For anyone that plays baseball, they know the numbers I'm talking about. But essentially, someone that has a really high steal attribute can get a better jump off the, therefore increases the chance of stealing a base. So someone has like 99 speed and 10 steal. I mean, there's for sure still going to be steal bases, but that basically reduces the attribute because it's going to take them a longer time to pick up from where the pitcher delivers. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Or I mean, I can go more into detail, but
Yeah. If you could just a little bit more detail.
So if the pitcher picks up his foot, someone with 99 steal would go literally the instant his foot goes. However, someone that has a lower steal rating, time to process what's happening, and therefore might be a little bit later.
Okay, so it's like kind of like reaction time.
Yes, pretty much.
Cool. And then aggression?
I have not. I think that might just be for. I don't know. To be honest, I have not seen that play a role, and I've not seen much discussion about that.
Could that be like a computer trait where that makes the computer steal more often?
Your computer simulate.
Okay, that's
durability.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to pitching stats. All right, what does stamina do?
So starters will have stamina from 80 and above, usually in the 90s, and relievers will usually have anywhere from 20 to 50. You essentially want your relievers to have that 20 to 50 range. 50 if you're going to use a guy for more than 2 innings, which I would not recommend, but people do that. 20 will get you around an inning or two without becoming tired. And once a pitcher becomes tired, your opponent's PCI zone increases. It gets bigger. So that's definitely something to look out for. And you don't want to be using someone that's really you don't want to be overusing. You'll start getting creamed. So that's something to take into consideration. But someone has like 90 stamina will be able to pitch, I think, around 90 to 100 pitches without becoming tired, which is really good. So that's pretty much what that does.
Nice. Now, what does hits per 9 do?
Hits per 9 is the size of your opponent's PCI. That's huge. Hits per 9 is a big attribute.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Now, what's the K per 9?
K per 9 also decreases that, and both hits per 9 and K per 9 both decrease it. However, walks per 9 has been proven to not have playing. Same with home run per 9. Believe it or not, crazy to think this, but seriously, its hits per nine, K per nine are huge. Like those are like by far the two biggest attributes for pitchers.
Okay. So then what do the home runs per nine and walks per nine do?
Home runs per nine decrease. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of talks about home run per nine not even existing, but home runs per nine essentially decreases the chance of your opponent hitting a home run off you. However, people in the community, such as Carlo Bird 5 and MLB The Show Tips, have really stated that this is not a big attribute at all, and it's not been proven to help out with consideration. But once again, hits per nine, K per nine, much more important.
Interesting. All right.
So for walks per nine, that literally is only for simulation, just like durability and base running aggression. But what do you think it would help out with would be control. However, the control statistic actually does that.
Oh wow.
So the control makes your meter go slower.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so someone has a low control stat, it'll be harder to hit the right place on the meter. Now, I say meter, but everyone has different ways of pitching. Like there's analog, there's pulse. Essentially, it just makes it easier to hit the sweet spot.
So with say a guy has 4 different pitches and they have 4 different control numbers on those 4 different pitches, does that mean the meter is going to go different speed for each one of those pitches?
I believe so. And then the overall control as well, like the overall control statistic that each pitcher has, also plays a role in how the meter goes as well.
I'm not seeing the overall control stat on Daddy Leagues.
It's here.
It's there. Okay, maybe I'm just looking at player pages. Maybe I need to look at. Oh no, now I see it on the overall page. So it's not on the individual player pages. Wait, no, that's on the four seams fastball.
What player are you looking at right now?
I'm looking at the top guy, Tom Seaver.
Okay, so he probably has like a really good pitcher. But yeah, once again, do you see like the overall control stat though, attribute?
No, I see it like on the four seam fastball.
It's if you go to the if you go to your link at your address bar right now and put a slash and then history, literally just type out history, you'll see it. I think you should be able to.
Then they just after Tom Seaver go history.
Yeah, there's a slash. You see up top, where it has, like the code number, and then probably has Seaver Tom, and then no, you're not seeing that.
Maybe I can. All right, let me go see if I can slash. No, I don't see that.
All right, that's fine. I mean, I can.
It's fine. So you're saying there is an overall control number, and that's in the game. So that's how fast the pitching meter goes for that person. That's fine. We don't have to find it on Daddy Leagues right now. That's
all right.
All right, but so and then on to the rest of it. Break. What does break do for a pitch?
Break. So someone like Clayton Kershaw will have 99 break.
Yeah.
So these pitches will go. Someone has like 99 break on the curveball versus someone has 40 break on the curveball means the 99 break will literally curve the whole zone. Like it'll go top to bottom, but someone has lower break, it'll be a much smaller area that ball breaks. So you want someone that has high break. That is something that matters, along with velocity, I should add.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, velocity makes it harder to hit, right?
Well, it's just velocity makes. I mean, yeah, it gets harder, faster to pitch, harder to hit.
Well, I mean, sometimes velocity difference is really cool. Like changeup, you want much different than your four seamer, right?
Yeah. So, and here's a little tidbit about that as well. Daddy Leagues has the pitch speeds on the website. That's not in at least MLB The Show 16. That game where you could press triangle and see all the attributes. You couldn't do that. So that's something to definitely look out for because someone like. I'm going to give an example. Everyone loves Pat Neshek. I'm sure you've never heard of him, but this guy throws a 69 mile per hour circle change and a 90 mile per hour fastball. So people love this guy because you can easily change up speeds and it leaves the hitter so confused. So that does play a huge role. And my advice is not only to look at velocity and break ratings on the game, but actually to go into daddy leagues and check out the pitch velocities of these players, because that plays a huge role in the game, and it's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, I see Nishak in 17 has got 90 miles. So 90 miles sinker and then a 70-mile-per-hour circle change. And so with these guys, with like say the velocity is 90 miles per hour, that can vary, right? Up a few and down a few miles.
It depends on your on your meter or however you're pitching.
Okay.
It depends how you hit it.
Okay, very cool. Well, I think that takes care of all the settings. For those out there that listening, definitely check out Daddy Leagues and go to their Diamond Dynasty link and stuff.
Absolutely. It's huge.
But JGarcia, thanks for hanging out this video. Thanks for explaining all that.
Yep.
And I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely, man. Take care.